Exactly, you saw it in that report. We're out and about quite a lot this morning. John is out for us. He's in a beautiful part of the world. He's in Powys in Wales. John, we've heard all about listed buildings, but now you're with a very important tree.
You're absolutely right, Sally. Look at that. The Brimmon Oak here, just outside Newtown in Powys in mid-Wales. Doesn't it look absolutely beautiful? Carol Kirkwood, look at that for a summer's day. Only kidding, of course. That's the way that the tree looks today. It's still a magnificent, still an important tree. And last night was in the running to be named European Tree of the Year. Why? Well, partly because of this. This is the bypass that's being built just to the side of the town. Very badly needed by the local economy, people tell me, but it would have put the tree at risk. So the bypass has had to be moved. Protecting our oldest trees is, campaigners say, extremely important. They want the government to do more and more to give them, as you say, the same level of protection as our most ancient and our most precious and valuable buildings. We'll talk about all of that after the news, travel and weather, where you're watching Breakfast this morning.
England's ancient trees and woodlands should have the same protection as listed buildings. This according to a new campaign by the Woodland Trust.
Yes, it comes after a recent housing white paper set out better preservation for veteran trees. I like that, veteran trees. But campaigners want it to go even further. Breakfast, John Maguire is in Newtown for us this morning. Morning to you, John.
Yeah, morning to you, Sally. Newtown, Powys in mid-Wales. You'll have noticed not England, as we said in the introduction, because they do want to do the same sort of thing here in Wales, but the laws are different. A little bit more about that later on. Wonderful view, as you can imagine here, but you'll have noticed it's surrounded by a fence. Why? Well, it's because they're building the Newtown bypass here, and they've actually shifted it 12 metres away from this tree, from the Brimmon Oak, after a campaign by local people. So, should the type of protection that's been awarded and afforded to the Brimmon Oak also be afforded to other trees right across the UK? And you know, the Brimmon Oak here in Powys was in the running to be named European Tree of the Year. The results were announced in Belgium last night. We've got Rory Francis and Ken Davies with us this morning. Ken, is this the European Tree of the Year? Drum roll, please.
It is actually runner-up in the
second.
competition. We had a fantastic turnout of votes of 16,203, and I'd love to thank everybody who voted for the tree.
Well
the
done.
Full details are at the Tree Hunter.
Good stuff, which is, I know, somebody's campaigned for it. That's their website, isn't it? Just very quickly, why is this tree so important?
It's a genuine family tree. It's been in Mervyn Lloyd-Jones' family for 5 generations, and there's actually a photograph of a wedding from 1901 of Mervyn's great aunt. And initially, this tree was in danger, but can you imagine children playing under the tree, playing shop with...
For hundreds and hundreds of years.
Oh, yes.
Very quickly, Rory Francis, sorry, we're a little bit tight for time. People might have heard of tree protection orders and might be therefore surprised that these trees aren't adequately protected.
Tree preservation orders are great, but they don't cover all trees. This tree isn't covered. There are big loopholes with them, and crucially, they don't provide that extra support that really special trees like this really need. A tree that's 500 years old. The thing to remember is that if Mervyn had accepted what the road planners had said initially, this tree wouldn't be here. It's only here because he brought in help, he set up a campaign, petitioned the Welsh Assembly. That should have been considered from the start, I would say.
OK, so things may well change. Gents, thank you very much indeed. You can see the workers just setting off to build this bypass, as we've been saying this morning. Very popular with the local people, the bypass, by the way. But perhaps also extremely popular, the wonderful Brimmon Oak. Back to you guys.
Oh, John, thank you very much indeed. Wasn't that photograph amazing?
Yeah, beautiful that. Lovely bit of tree-based history. Later on the...
This tree, the Brimmon Oak in mid-Wales, is almost 600 years old. So should our oldest and most precious trees enjoy the same protection as our best and most historic buildings?
Just coming up to 9 o'clock. Now, England's ancient trees and woodlands should have the same protection as listed buildings, according to a new campaign by the Woodland Trust.
It comes after a recent housing white paper set out better preservation for veteran trees, but campaigners want it to go a little bit further. Well, Breakfast, John Maguire is in Newtown for us this morning with a picture postcard, John.
Yeah, it is, Dan, isn't it? Picture postcard view. That's the Brimmon Oak in full leaf during the summer. That's what it looks like today. Still a magnificent, gnarly old tree, probably around 600 years old, this one. Of course, we're in Wales. I know that we're also talking about legislation in England today, but this goes across both countries and indeed across the UK, really, protecting some of our oldest trees. This fence round here that you probably noticed is because they're building a bypass. This is the Newtown bypass. As I've been saying this morning, popular with many of the local people. They've had to actually shift it 12 metres away from the tree to afford it the protection that many people think it deserves and the protection that many people think should be afforded to all trees of this importance and this vintage. Back in Powys then, in mid Wales, when you look at the Brimmon Oak up close, you feel as if you can almost see every single one of those 600 years, the gnarled bark, all of the growth here from when the tree's been pollarded and forces the growth down. It's an extraordinary sight, and of course we know there are many of them right across the UK. Let's talk to KEN DAVIES and to Rory Francis. Ken came runner-up in European Tree of the Year last night. The results, I think, were announced in Brussels. Pretty impressive stuff.
Oh, fantastic. When you consider how many trees there are in Europe, we're standing to the one who's second in the whole area. And to think that 16,203 people voted for the tree. And I'd like to thank everybody who have voted for us. We've had fantastic support. It's a unique family tree, really, because there is a photograph of a wedding from 1901 where they were all pictured around the tree.
Yeah.
And over generations, children have actually been playing on the roots of the tree, playing shop and having tea parties. It's fantastic. But what I think another thing that's unique about this tree is that a song has been written about it by Sam Gom, and it's called The Brimmon Tree.
Right.
I'd just like to say that Rob McBride, the tree hunter, has done a fantastic job in getting this tree promoted, and without him we wouldn't be here today talking about this tree.
Yeah, it needs people, of course, to protect these things, doesn't it? So let's bring in Rory. We talked a little bit earlier about tree protection orders. One would think that there was enough protection out there for these trees. With people agreeing they're so important.
What happened with this tree shows that it isn't, because this tree is only here because Mervyn and Rob set up a campaign, petitioned the Assembly, set up a campaign. What we're saying is that all really old trees like this, that are hundreds of years old, should be protecting. We're asking people to go to our website to support that campaign, because if a tree like this is lost, it's a real problem.
Thanks very much to both of you this morning. So the bypass here at Newtown is due to open next year. The Brimmon Oak, though, well, hopefully its future is guaranteed, and it could be around for another 400 years or so. Back to you guys.
Brilliant. So I love that. It's a gorgeous tree in full bloom, as John was showing, so it does look gorgeous. But what I find annoying about this story, right?
Yeah.
You're a park ranger in Powys.
Yeah.
How have you missed out on the opportunity to call yourself the Powys Rangers? Right? That's like an open goal, isn't it?
Should we rename them this morning?
Yeah, I think we should.
Go Powys Rangers.
Yes. We should be speaking to